Peace to the family. Before I dig into this thing, I just wanted to say thank you for all your continued love and support. Today is my birthday, and if you would please just drop me a like on the video and subscribe to the channel, I'd greatly appreciate it. Now let's dive into this thing. Hey, welcome back, guys. Raising Kanan's 7th episode was a crazy one to say the least. Many of the seeds planted in this slow burn season have begun sprouting in a major way, including Kanan's relationship with Palomar, Marvin's plot with Marco, and Burke's ongoing and clandestine investigation into Howard. I'm here to break it all down in typical Top 10 WTF fashion. Before we begin, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and bell notification to immediately receive these videos. Also, big thank you to all of my channel donors. If you'd like to be the next one, drop $1 on that Cash App for us. And lastly, a spoiler alert is now in effect for all things Power. Here we go. WTF moment number 10, Collateral Damage. Lou's story picks back up in unsurprising fashion as he's spending his first look this episode in the studio beating Zisa's cheeks. During the session, they're interrupted by two random yardies who inform Lou that he's now responsible for Crown's unpaid debts, as the latter is currently missing in action. Lou rebuffs their assertions, but not without another warning placed prior to departure, leaving Lou in a pensive state, much to Zisa's chagrin. WTF moment number 9. What does GTD stand for? Kanan pays Palomar a visit in order to return her gun used in Kay's coming-of-age moment from episode 6. Dressed in nothing but purple lingerie and armed with an innocent face and the mighty soundtrack of Anita Baker, Palomar finalizes her seduction against Kanan, pulling him in close for the first of many romantic overtures to come. Whoever knew that a scandal of this proportion could be executed so sweetly? WTF moment number 8, Backdoor Proposal. In a surprising maneuver, Rock awaits the arrival of Cartier's business associate, Tremont Stinson, in his hotel lobby. She reveals herself to the newly bruised crime leader and declares her intentions to usurp Cartier for a deal between the two instead. Taken aback by the gesture, an apprehensive Tremont shares his preconceptions only to be slightly persuaded by Rock's larger-than-life charm and even bigger balls in initiating the deception. WTF moment number 7, an urgent message. Lou is suddenly ambushed in a back alley by the same yardies from the top of the episode. They stress the fact that Lou needs to gain more perspective and understanding on their fallout with his undearly departed business partner, and commence to give him some of that understanding via a barrage of baseball bats in the spirit of Joe Pesci before them. WTF moment number 6, busted. Kanan and Palomar reflect on their scandalous activities of the day while laid up in the latter's bed. Corinne abruptly interrupts the forbidden session, only to be hurt and surprised by the sight of her mother and her illegal misdeeds. She furiously launches a carton of milk towards an apathetic Palomar, who eases Kanan's natural disarray with sweet words and even sweeter kisses. That Palomar is a wow. WTF moment number 5, deal with the devil. Following that impromptu alley beating by the Jamaicans, Lou appeals to Cartier for assistance in the matter. The shrewd businessman agrees to help Lou under the condition that he receives half of Crown's half of the record label, so essentially a quarter of Lou's business, promising that Lou will still be the controlling interest to Dunn's silent partnership. Wary, but out of options, Lou strikes the deal with the devil that is Dunn's, a deal he may soon come to regret. WTF moment number 4, off the Tony deep end. Marco and Dom, that problematic henchman from the Catskills, gear up to carry out the Tony hit for Marvin. Prior to catching up to Marvin's former lover turned snitch, she's in the midst of getting her own cheeks clapped for the final time. Immediately following the session, the two Italian gunmen storm in and get her out of the paint. However, Marco is attacked by her husband, resulting in a scuffle that would inevitably turn fatal due to Dominic's poor shooting display. After accidentally killing Marco, this fool gets out alive, but not before leaving Tony's dentist husband in an identical state of liveliness. This foul-up introduces an entirely new set of problems to everyone involved in the murderous affair. But it's like my wise old mother always says, it's always the stupid MFs that don't get killed. WTF moment number 3, a Scrappy Revelation. Rock meets with Howard to reveal Burke's continued investigation into the truth of his shooting. During their exchange, Howard relays that he was wrong about Scrap's informant status, deeming his mother the true police correspondent. This news shocks the Queen Pen, as it confirms her biggest mistake of the season thus far, next to leaving Unique with breath in his body. Howard then warns Rock about what's to come once Kanan finally comes to terms with those mistakes in due time. WTF moment number 2, something you should know. Kanan approaches Kanan's mother out of the blue and keys her into some important information that she needs to know about her son and her own mother. That info is undoubtedly about Palomar's illicit affair with Kanan, which could cost her very life in the next episode, which is 208 and has a penchant for being Power's most craziest, next to 205 and of course 210. This season is about to get a lot more crazier, and that's saying a lot given what we just saw. And WTF moment number 1, Lost Symphony. In one of the most tense moments of the episode, Rock patiently awaits Symphony as the latter loads up to depart for good. With murderous intent, the Queen Pen deviously rolls past, gun in hand, but ultimately decides not to make the same mistake twice and leaves the only man who showed her true love, compassion, and loyalty alive. This outcome had us all shook, but was satisfying because I don't believe Rock would have come back from pulling that trigger on Symphony. Like, come on, Rock. Anybody but that dude. Some lingering thoughts before we end today's video. When Kanan reaches for Palomar's gun, he also displays Howard's letter, which to this point remains unopened. This is key because that revelation is going to change everything going forward between him and Rock. Also, the unopened letter dynamic is a subtle callback to Juke's unopened letter from Nicole, which she didn't unveil until the climax of season 1. The Bible study sequence is an interesting one, as the pastor reviews the ordinances of God that are found in the book of Leviticus, the 18th chapter. In that book, God lays out his commandments to his people that will profess his name in honor and glory, and sets them apart based on their fulfillment of these mandates. The major one, of course, speaking against defiling oneself through lying with mankind as one does with womankind. You'll notice in these passages, God repeatedly concludes with, "I am the Lord your God," which means that if you take part in these acts, I am not. I make this distinction because it compounds the pressure Juke feels to please her mother at all costs, and to reflect an image that's favorable to her rather than true to Juke herself. The prophecy sets off a silent alarm within Jukebox's soul, as she's the reflection of the very thing that could once again separate her from her mother Kenya. Her song and dance routine throughout this season has been in the effort of gaining her mother's approval, and such a discovery regarding her true self and identity will inevitably separate them once Kenya catches wind. Juke is aware of as much, which is why you'll notice her deciding in this moment to acquiesce to her young church admirers' advances. It's all in a losing effort, unfortunately, one that'll come to a head sooner rather than later. I'll be discussing this further in a video to come. While we're on Juke, another thing that could embolden her position and current lifestyle choice is if the boy from the church proves detrimental to her mental or physical state. She's in a very delicate place right now, where she could literally go either way, from an identity standpoint. Based on what we know, she ultimately stuck with the ladies, but there's a reason for such a finite decision. Coupled with her mother's coming heartbreak and subsequent dismissal, along with her father's shortcomings, could be a major violation from a fellow church-going male, which would continue her aversion to men altogether. Very interesting stuff, but again, I'll explain more on this later. I wonder if Cartier put his paws on Tremont, resulting in his blackened eye, prior to Rock attempting to enlist his services in her new beau's place. Duns was definitely in a rare position of inferiority during that impromptu exchange at dinner. His face at least said as much, and a violation would have been in order tenfold from where he's sitting, given what we've seen from his character thus far. That bitch slap on the art dealer was just the tip of his unpredictable iceberg. The weakness of Lou's position is really starting to shine through at this point. This is exemplified by his abrupt cash withdrawal from Rock's main headquarters and subsequent deal with Cartier, which this commentator believes will prove worse than Crown could have ever been. Notice Lou's uneasiness when Cartier tries to guide his hand during the Zisa session towards the end of the episode. Lou is going to come to regret this partnership in a major way, and by season's end, hopefully he survives it altogether. And lastly, if you pay close attention, during Burke's discovery of Howard's former 17-year-old informant, i.e. Rock, there's a fellow officer eavesdropping intently. This may be the conduit to Howard finding out about his partner's secret coup against him and the severity of it, which will certainly end tragically for Burke in the final trilogy. But that'll do it for this one. What were your thoughts on Raising Kanan's 7th episode? Be sure to drop me your opinions in the comments below. And while you're there, wish a player a happy birthday. As always, I thank you for watching today's video. If you liked today's video, go ahead and drop $1 on that Cash App for us. hit the like button, share it with your friends who are Power fans, and subscribe for more content such as this. This is Rudy P. Magic of Rudy P. Magic Beats, and have a blessed one until the next one. Peace, y'all.